Hi, my name is Ellie, and today I'm going to be doing a quick topic analysis of the topic that South Korea should impose a casino entry levy and allow its citizens to gamble at all local casinos. So I'm going to go through the kind of approach that I would take to the debate and look at some of the arguments that both teams might make. So in terms of the approach that I would take, let's start by defining the topic. So I think that this topic basically would mean that you would start imposing a levy, a tax, upon entry to a casino, and effectively it would become legal for Koreans to attend casinos so long as they had the appropriate entry levy ticket. So they would no longer be banned from gambling at casinos. I think there's a few fair assumptions that we can make about this topic. I think it's fair to assume that the government is able to enforce this, that they can have a system to regulate that these levies are paid. And I think it's also probably fair to assume that there will be more gambling at casinos once it's legal to do so. Some additional considerations that both sides could take into account are the fact that in the status quo, there already exists quite a lot of black market gambling occurring, especially online. So there is an amount of gambling in the status quo. And additionally, I think that both teams would need to consider that excessive gambling in either world can result in addiction, financial problems, and social problems as well. So both teams, their overall aim and objective is going to be to limit the social harm of gambling, and also they probably want to protect individuals' rights. So they might care about trying to give individuals more choice, or they might also care about protecting individuals' financial rights as well. So let's go into some of the key arguments that both sides might run, starting with side proposition. So what would proposition's policy setup be? They are likely going to, first of all, propose legalization, making it no longer illegal for Korean citizens to gamble. Then they would impose this levy, which would be probably set by authorities at an appropriate level. And thirdly, it would be enforced. So you would probably do things like random checks and casino licensing to ensure that casinos actually followed these rules. Why might that be a good thing? Well, I can think of three arguments for that. Firstly, I think you can argue that this helps to minimize the harm of gambling, because gambling at casinos, it can be better and easier to regulate than online gambling. When you're gambling with a group and when there's people around you who can supervise you, they can make sure that it's healthy. Whereas if people are gambling online, it might be more likely that they become addicted. Secondly, I think we can make an argument about individual choice and say that given that South Korea believes that tourists can opt into gambling, it's only fair that their citizens have the ability to opt into this activity, which many people enjoy as well. And thirdly, I think that we can say that this is probably good for the economy. So a lot of people would likely pay this levy, and the government could use it to fund beneficial services and infrastructure, and it would probably increase the amount of economic activity going on in the casino industry. So what might the opposition case consist of? So I think opposition's policy setup would be that they maintain the status quo of gambling in casinos being illegal, and they continue to enforce those and make sure that people and casinos who allow for illegal gambling face punishment. Why might they support this alternative? Well, I think that they would broadly be trying to claim that this helps to limit gambling. They might say that gambling at casinos is especially bad and addictive because it's really fun and social, and therefore it can actually lead to more financial problems. So if it was to be legalized, it would normalize gambling and make it far more common that people were exposed to gambling behavior. They might also say that the government is already facing a significant burden of regulating gambling, for example, online, and regulating these levies would add another layer of work to that and make it even more challenging to ensure that people are gambling responsibly. So overall, I think that both teams are going to be clashing heavily on what the best strategy is to minimize the harm of gambling in South Korea, whether that's legalizing it, taxing it, and regulating it, or whether it's keeping it illegal in order to send a strong message that gambling is bad.